Welcome to the video, guys. Today I wanted to go over the training routine that I've been doing and how all of my training has actually been going. This is my first training block that I've ever actually had a proper training block for a race, and I don't know that I gave myself enough time for the type of race I'm doing, but it's what I did and it's what I have available, so I just wanted to share that today with you. So we'll get right into it. Okay, so here we can see I started off pretty easily. And what I did for the first day was 2 miles at an easy pace. And you can actually see if you go through here, every single run I do is easy pace. And that's because this is an endurance run. It's not a speed race. It's not a hilly race. It's nothing like that. It's just being able to do the same mileage over and over again every hour. And so it's not going to be a fast pace. I just need to make sure I'm getting in 4.17 miles every hour. So that is not going to be a difficult pace. It's just going to have to be a very strong mental battle, and it's going to be all about muscular endurance. So I wasn't too worried about high mileage. I wanted to make sure that I was coming into it slowly so that I'm not getting injured. And I'm also already at this point coming off of injury. So I'm coming off of shin splints and I'm coming off of a hamstring injury. And so I needed to be taking things easily. So started out here with 2 miles on the first day. And you can see I run 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with Saturday as my long run. So first day was 2 miles. Second day was 1.5 miles. Elliptical on the Friday, and then my first long run on that Saturday was 1 lap of the race, 4.17 miles. So this Friday run was on the elliptical, and this is something that I would encourage people to consider. So I was just starting out, and when I'm starting out and you start running, you might have aches and pains, but if you're running and you're dealing with injury, then you need to really be in tune with your body. And for this scenario, coming off of those injuries, I already, right from the beginning, was already starting to feel tightness and stuff in my shins, in my calves, and those tendons and ligaments. And so I needed to be able to run while still stretching out and stuff, but also knowing when to back off. And so this first time here, I did the elliptical because elliptical is no impact or low impact while still building your cardiovascular system. So it's a great way to do it. Biking is another great way, whether that's on a stationary bike or just actually going out and biking on roads. So I chose the elliptical because I wanted to be able to still be doing the running motion and building that cardio, but taking care of those shins and the hamstring. So elliptical was my very good friend here at the starting. You can see the first 4 weeks I really took advantage of that. But so that was all good there. We got easy exertion level. I paid attention to my times and small amounts of running at the starting. A little bit bigger of a long run, but that is because it is a long run. And this is by no means is this an actual long distance to run for a long run, but when you're just starting out, just know that it is going to be smaller and that's okay. Knowing that 4 miles for my first long run, that's long. But later on, a long run might be 20 miles at one time, and that's long. But when you're starting out, that's far too much running, and so a long run is just going to be longer than any of your other runs during the week. Total weekly mileage here, 7.67 miles, plus the elliptical running. Don't keep a track of exactly what that is. I went for 15 minutes, and so whatever that looked like and whatever that meant, but roughly 7.67 miles for the running that I did on the road. Then we moved into week 2, and after that long run, my body not feeling the greatest, so okay, listen to it, run on the elliptical 15 minutes and take care of that body. Wednesday and Friday, we're going to bump up a little bit from what we had done here. My first day I was supposed to run 1.5 miles, but I went for 2, and that was all good. But now wanting to build a little bit week after week, we're going to go up to 2 miles as my regular run. So we did 2 days of 2 miles, and then my long run, we're bumping up a little bit again from 4.17. We bumped up to 5 miles here. Again, I didn't count this 5 kilometer race in my actual total mileage because it was mostly walking. We did a little bit of run walking, but that was the Bouncy Castle race, so it was more about just having fun, not taking it too seriously. So that's what we did for that one. And so again, here I'm just counting the actual running mileage that I did on the road that was specifically for the training. And you can see here the total mileage is not a big jump from week to week, and that's so important for injury prevention and just taking care of your body. Very important to be keeping that in mind. And you can actually see a little bit later on that doing the exact opposite of that advice has been causing me problems. So then we move on to the next week. We did 2 miles here, and again, easy pace. Then 2 days of elliptical, just taking care of my body, still getting in time, still getting in running, still getting in cardio, and then feeling good enough, hitting a 5-mile easy run on the Saturday again. And this is what's really cool to me is you can see the slight progression. So here we got 2 miles, we did 18:58, and then here 2 miles, 17:36. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but as we get farther into this, you start to see the times get faster and faster, and that is just the cardiovascular capability growing more and more, and that's a very exciting thing. So again, here we actually see a drop in mileage, but that is because of the 2 times elliptical here from 1 time here. So again, I'm not specifically following how much I'm doing on the elliptical, just 15 minutes. Bump down here the next week after that. Once again, 2 ellipticals followed by 2 miles and then 4.17 mile loop on this day. I can't remember exactly why I dropped down my mileage here. I think that it was just to take care of the body. I had heard from a friend that you do 3 weeks of build, and then in the 4th week you want to kind of take a step back so that your body can recoup and kind of take it easy so that the next week it can go back to being building. This is all, again, just injury prevention and making sure that your body is able to keep doing what you're asking of it. So we see here 6.17, back off a little bit from 7 miles, and that was just backing off a little bit from 9 miles, but again, double elliptical here. So backed off of this, and then we get right back into it again. 3 miles, 3.2 miles, and then I missed this day because of bachelor party, fallout, etc. And then so I did my run instead on the Saturday. What should have been my long run, I just did my 3rd run here. And we can see here, bump up 9.2 miles, so that's a bit of a jump back from this day, but this is the easy week, then back into actual work. Following that, I dropped 3 days. I focused on working out and doing strength and conditioning. And even throughout all of these days here, there is strength and conditioning being done throughout that whole time. I work legs twice a week, making sure that they're strong and able to do what I need them to do during the race and during training. So, but really focused on that here, and ended up doing the long run that I was supposed to do here. I just moved it down to the next Saturday. So the whole weekly mileage for that was 5.5. And again, this is not, I wouldn't recommend this for anyone. This is just how my training has gone. I'm just sharing with you what has actually happened. But this is not ideal. This is not an ideal training block. I'm building this training block from scratch and working with life and how that goes. But my next training block for my next race will look much different. I've done a lot more research. I've learned a lot more. And so we're going to be changing a lot of things. But this is what's happened so far. Now, this was a big change, and I want to talk about this a little bit here. So in July, the end of July, coming up closer to the race, I'm about a month out from the race, and I really wanted to work on like an actual long run that's going to simulate how the race is going to be. And so I did my midnight run at the end of that week, and I did 4 laps of what the race will be. So during that week, on Monday, I did 3.5 miles, easy pace. On Wednesday, another 3.5 miles, easy pace. My Friday run, I didn't actually do a specific run on Friday because I started my long run on the Friday. And so I did technically on the Friday, I did 4.17 miles. And then the rest of those 17.25 miles were done Saturday morning from midnight till 3 a.m. So again, this was done at an easy pace. But one thing I want to draw to your attention here is this. This weekly mileage, 24.25 miles, jumping from even at most 9.2 miles. And that is a bit of a problem. You don't want to jump your weekly mileage that much, that quickly, because there is a very good chance of injury occurring when you do that. You're increasing your volume far too quickly, and I didn't necessarily feel that right away. But then the next week, I do what will be one loop of the race. So I did 4.17 miles on the Monday, 4.17 miles on the Wednesday, same thing on the Friday. And then I was going to run 10 miles on the Saturday. My long run, I was busy on the Saturday, so I went and moved it to the Sunday. I was going to do 10 miles, but I had my shins start hurting quite a bit as I started that run. And I knew that 10 miles was going to be an issue, and my shins started hurting around 4 miles. And so I cut back my pace and I started to just really focus on good form and making sure that everything was all good. And eventually the shins stopped hurting so much. But I finished this and my calves were so tight, which was what has been consistently causing me shin pain, has been tight calves. And the problem is for that last 2 weeks, I haven't really been consistent with my working out and I haven't been consistent with my stretching. When you add those two failures onto a massive jump in mileage from 24.25 from 9.2 miles, and then again the next week hitting 20 plus miles for mileage, this jump is far too big to not be being consistent with my working out and to not be being consistent with the stretching. And so I have had to back off completely this whole week. I'm currently on the Saturday when I'm making this video. This whole week I've done no running and I have done 2 leg workouts, and I have been much more focused on stretching out my calves, on stretching out my hamstrings, because those injuries immediately started back when I wasn't consistent on those things and I wasn't focused on it, and I increased my running far too fast. Now, unfortunately, the race is very close. It is only 2 weeks away, and this mistake is costing me that training time, but I need to know that my body's going to be good for the race, and so I have to back off now so that I can run the race I want to race. So tomorrow we have another 5-kilometer race, but this is an obstacle course race. It's going to be a fun race. We're taking it easy, but then I'm getting right back into it. I'm doing 4.17 miles for 3 days, and then my Saturday long run is going to be 6 miles so that I'm not pushing myself too hard. But again, the stretching, the working out, that's back, and I'm going to be taking care of myself here this next week to really make sure that I'm ready for this race. So we see here total weekly mileage, 18.5 miles. And then this last week, you always want to taper before a race. So the Monday, I'm going to do 3 miles. The Wednesday, 2 miles, very easy, very light. Friday, nothing, because Saturday morning I race bright and early. And ideally, I will be racing into Sunday as well. So that is what I've been doing. That's the training plan. But the biggest takeaways from this is the slow growth is what has allowed me to be consistent. The slow growth is what has allowed me to steadily increase my cardio, where my times are getting faster and better. And this jump right here that we see, this was way too big of a jump, way too fast. It might not have been a problem if I was taking care of myself with working out and with stretching, but I had backed off that, and then doing the same thing the next week, massive problem. So that is why now we got a problem like this, where we're not doing any running, just taking care of the body. But it's always a learning game. This is the sport. This is always how you learn. And I am taking this in stride, and I'm taking it, and I'm going to be making adjustments the next time that I go about this. But I wanted to share this with you guys, kind of give you an idea if you're brand new to running, if you are starting something fresh like this. I think this is kind of there are some good things in here to learn from, but By no means do I think that this is an ideal training plan to follow, but the things that I do think are important is starting small, starting slow, building slow, and not making massive jumps in mileage, because that can be very damaging. Stay consistent with working out, stay consistent with running, stay consistent with stretching, build small, build slow, and you will slowly see the growth that you want to see. So I hope that this was informative. And yeah, thanks for coming along. We got just 2 short weeks until the race. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to everything we got going on in between there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.